Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and today's story is one that's going to stick with you. It's about Ciaran, a 54-year-old Irishman who spent 30 years working high-voltage power lines across Ireland. Good money, dangerous work, the kind of bloke who could climb a pole in a storm without flinching. But here's the thing about Ciaran. He was fearless at deadly heights and absolutely paralyzed when it came to relationships. 3 marriages, 3 divorces, and every single one of them told him variations of the same thing before they left. He didn't listen. Not really. Not until he landed in Thailand thinking he'd finally cracked the code, thinking Asian women would appreciate what Irish women couldn't. What happened next changed everything he thought he understood about himself, about women, about what it means to actually be present in your own life. This isn't just another story about a Western man getting scammed in Thailand. It's darker than that, more personal than that, because sometimes the person doing the real damage is you. Here's his story, in his own words. Right so. Ciaran here. 54 now, though this all started when I was 52 and sitting in my flat in Cork, wondering what the hell I'd done with my life. 30 years I spent climbing poles for the ESB, Ireland's power company. High voltage work, the kind where one mistake and you're done. I was good at it, mind you, comfortable up there in the wind and sleet, rewiring substations, working with electricity that could stop your heart in a heartbeat. The lads used to joke I had ice in my veins because I'd go up in weather that terrified everyone else. The money was decent. Union wages, overtime that added up if you were willing to work the rough jobs. I lived in work camps half the time, barely spent anything. By the time I hit 52, I had about €120,000 in the bank. No kids, no mortgage after I sold the house following the 3rd divorce. Just me and my savings and this growing realization that I'd spent 3 decades being good at one thing and absolutely shite at everything else that mattered. 3 marriages. That's the number that haunts me. Not 3 girlfriends, 3 bloody marriages. First one happened when I was 24, thought I was doing the right thing, settling down young like my dad did. Lasted 6 years. I remember the night she left, standing in our kitchen in Ballincollig, and she said, "Ciaran, you're never really here. Even when you're sitting across from me at dinner, you're somewhere else." I thought she was being dramatic, like, I came home every night, didn't I? Didn't cheat, didn't drink the wages, paid the bills, what more did she want? Second wife, I met her when I was 33. Convinced myself the first one just wasn't the right fit. This one lasted 5 years. She said something I'll never forget. "I feel lonelier married to you than I ever felt being single." That one cut deeper, but I still didn't really hear it. Figured she needed too much attention, too much emotion, too much of whatever it was I wasn't wired to give. Third wife, met her when I was 43, married her thinking right. Third time's the charm. I'm older now, more mature, I've learned. Lasted 4 years. When she left, and they all left me, by the way, I never left them, she sat me down and said, "Ciaran, you're a good man, you really are. But it's like living with a friendly ghost, you're present, but not present." There it was again. That same complaint in different words, never really there. Somewhere else. A friendly ghost, present but not present. 3 different women, spanning 26 years of my life, all saying the same thing I kept refusing to understand. The problem wasn't them wanting too much. The problem was me giving too little of whatever the hell it is that makes someone feel seen and known and loved. So there I am at 52, divorced for the 3rd time, sitting in this empty flat with money in the bank and absolutely nothing else. No kids. The lads from work weren't really mates, just people I worked alongside. My family back in Skibbereen, I hadn't properly talked to them in years beyond the odd phone call at Christmas. 3 ex-wives who all moved on fine without me. Combined, I'd been married for 15 years, and I couldn't tell you a single favorite song of any of them. Not one. Couldn't tell you their dreams or fears beyond the surface stuff. I'd been married to these women, shared beds and homes and years, and I didn't actually know them. That's a hard thing to admit to yourself. That you've been the common denominator in 3 failed marriages. And maybe, just maybe, the problem is you. One of the lads at work, Declan, he's always going on about Thailand, showed me YouTube videos one day during a tea break. Sunshine, beaches, cheap living, beautiful women smiling in every frame. But the bit that got me, and I'm ashamed to admit this now, but it's the truth, was all these blokes in the comments talking about how Thai women appreciate a man who provides. How they're not demanding like Western women. How they value hard work and stability over all that emotional nonsense. I watched those videos for weeks. Cost of living a fraction of Ireland. Retire on your pension and live like a king. Women who the 500th be grateful for a decent man who shows up and takes care of business. And I thought, that's it. That's what I've been missing. The women back home want too much, need too much emotional availability or vulnerability or whatever you want to call it. But maybe Asian women, Thai women specifically, maybe they'd appreciate what I actually have to offer. Stability, reliability, financial support. A man who shows up. Looking back now, I can see what I was really thinking. I was thinking I could export myself to a new country where my particular brand of emotional unavailability wouldn't be a problem, where being the provider would be enough, where I wouldn't have to do the hard work of actually changing who I was, just the easy work of changing my location. I didn't recognize I was planning to make the exact same mistakes in a country with better weather. Booked a one-way ticket in February. Retirement visa sorted, you need to be 50 or over and prove you've got money coming in. My union pension qualified. Sold most of my stuff, kept 2 suitcases worth of clothes and personal bits. My sister thought I'd lost my mind. One of my ex-wives, the second one, she sent me a message when she heard through mutual friends. Just said, "Ciaran, running away doesn't fix what's broken." I deleted it without responding. What did she know? She'd given up on me years ago. The night before my flight, I sat in that empty Cork flat, drinking a Jameson, and thinking about those 3 marriages. About all the times I'd come home from work and my wife, whichever wife it was at the time, would try to talk to me about her day, her feelings, something that happened, and I'd just sort of check out. Go through the motions of listening without actually hearing. I was good at that. Present, but not present. Like a friendly ghost. But I'd pushed those thoughts away. Thailand was going to be different. I was going to be different. Fresh start, new country, women who valued what I brought to the table. I had no idea what was coming. No idea that the patterns you refuse to see in yourself don't just disappear when you change continents. They follow you, they find you, and eventually they break you in ways that force you to finally look at them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, I had to land in paradise. Suvarnabhumi Airport hit me like a wall of wet heat the second I stepped off the plane. February in Bangkok, and it must have been 30 degrees with humidity you could swim through. I'm standing there in jeans and a jumper I'd worn on the flight from Dublin, sweating like I just climbed a pole in July, and thinking, Christ, what have I done? The airport itself was massive, all glass and steel and Thai script I couldn't read. Immigration took forever, long queues of tourists and expats, everyone looking knackered from the flight. When I finally got to the counter, the officer looked at my retirement visa, stamped my passport without a word, and waved me through. Just like that, I was living in Thailand. Got a taxi to Pattaya, about an hour and a half south. The driver spoke no English beyond the address I showed him. We drove through Bangkok's outskirts, concrete everywhere. Motorbikes weaving between cars like they had a death wish. Billboards in Thai and English advertising whiskey and mobile phones. The smell coming through the air vents was exhaust mixed with something sweet I couldn't place. Street food, maybe. Or just Thailand itself. By the time we hit Pattaya, it was dark, neon everywhere. I'd arranged a condo rental online through an expat forum, 1 bedroom near Jomtien Beach, furnished 18,000 baht a month. That's about €450. Back in Cork, my flat cost me over $1,000 monthly. Already I'm thinking, right, this is going to work. My pension alone would cover rent and then some. The condo was on the 7th floor of a building that had seen better days but wasn't falling apart. Lift worked. Lobby had a pool I could see from the window. The flat itself was basic bed, sofa, small kitchen, aircon unit that rattled but pumped out cold air. Balcony overlooked the street, motorbikes buzzing past at all hours. I unpacked my 2 suitcases, had a shower that never quite got hot, and stood on that balcony at midnight listening to a city that never seemed to sleep. This was nothing like Cork, nothing like Ireland at all. And that's exactly what I wanted. First month, I just tried to get my bearings. Joined a gym down the street. Proper weights, not fancy, full of Thai blokes and a few expats. Started going every morning, gave me structure. Bought the uniform, linen shirts that didn't hold the sweat quite as badly, cargo shorts, flip-flops I learned to call slippers. Learned to say Sawasdi crap when I entered shops, cocoon crap when I left. Felt like a right Egypt at first, but the Thais seemed to appreciate the effort. Food was an adventure. I'm not exactly experimental with meals back home, meat and potatoes kind of bloke, but I figured when in Rome, Pad Thai became my safe option, fried rice when I wanted something familiar. Some tam, the spicy papaya salad, nearly took my head off the first time. The street food stall smelled incredible: grilled pork, chicken on sticks, things I couldn't identify. Everything cost next to nothing. 60 baht for a massive plate of food. That's less than €2. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't lonely. The gym lads kept to themselves. The expats I'd see at restaurants looked either coupled up or half-cut by midday. I joined a Facebook group for Pattaya expats, scrolled through the posts. A lot of bitter men complaining about their Thai girlfriends, about being ripped off, about visa problems. Depressing stuff. Reminded me too much of where I was headed if I wasn't careful. Then one night, curiosity got the better of me. Walked down to Walking Street, the infamous strip everyone talks about. It's mental, that place. Neon signs advertising bars with names like Windmill and Angel Witch, music pounding from every doorway, women in bikinis standing outside calling to passing men. Ladyboys too, gorgeous ones you wouldn't clock as blokes until they spoke. The whole place smelled like beer and cigarettes and perfume. I ducked into a quieter beer bar off the main drag, one of those open-air places with stools around the bar and a pool table in back. Girls sat along the bar, maybe 6 or 7 of them, all dolled up in short dresses. One approached me straight away. Noi, she said her name was. Pretty girl, couldn't have been more than 25. She asked where I was from, how long in Thailand, the usual questions. Bought her a drink, what they call a lady drink, 120 baht. She sat with me, made conversation, laughed at my attempts at Thai. After an hour, she explained how it works. The bar fine, 1,500 baht, paid to the bar so she could leave with me. Then her time, usually 2,000 or 3,000 baht, depending on short time or long time. All very businesslike, no pretense. I appreciated the honesty. Actually, clear transaction, both parties know what's happening. I paid the bar fine that first night, gave her 3,000 baht, went back to my condo with her. The sex was fine, mechanical, but fine. She left after, grabbed a motorbike taxi back to her place. I lay there afterward thinking about my marriages, about how different this was. No expectations beyond the transaction, no risk of disappointing someone by not being present enough. Over the next few months, I became a semi-regular at that bar, and a couple others in Jomtien, quieter than Walking Street. Noi, then Ploy, then some. I was always respectful, always polite, always generous. 1,500 for the bar fine, 3,000 for them, sometimes more if we'd had a nice evening. Tips on top. Asked about their families. Most had kids back in Isan being raised by grandparents, sent money home monthly. I never got grabby, never got drunk and stupid like some of the Farangs I'd see. Treated them like human beings, or so I told myself. But here's the thing. After 6 months of this, it started feeling hollow. The conversation was surface level, even when they spoke decent English. We'd talk about where they're from, about my work back in Ireland, maybe a bit about Thai culture. But it never went deeper, couldn't really. They were working, I was paying, and both of us knew it. The smiles were professional, the laughs at my jokes were polite. The sex was a service rendered. I'd lie there after they left, the aircon rattling away, and feel this emptiness that was familiar from my marriages, but somehow worse. At least with my wives, there'd been the illusion of connection at the start, before I'd inevitably retreated into my usual patterns. With the bar girls, there wasn't even that. Just transaction, girlfriend experience, they call it, and that's exactly what it was. An experience, not a relationship. Started avoiding the bars after month 5. Spent more time at regular cafes, restaurants where Thai families ate, places that had nothing to do with the sex industry. The expat Facebook group kept showing me posts about men who'd found good girls, Thai women who weren't bar girls, who worked normal jobs and wanted genuine relationships. I'd read those posts and think, that's what I need, something real, something different from this hollow rotation of paid company. I wasn't naive. I knew the stories about Thai women and foreign men, about the scams and the money requests and the multiple boyfriends, but I told myself I'd be smart about it. I'd spot the red flags. I'd find one of the good ones everyone insisted existed if you just looked in the right places. Looking back now, I can see what I was really doing. I was convincing myself that the problem with the bar girls was them, not me. That if I just found the right Thai woman educated not from the bar scene, genuine, then everything would click into place. I'd be the provider, she'd be grateful and loving, and I wouldn't have to actually change anything fundamental about how I show up in relationships. Same pattern, different packaging. But I didn't see that then. I was 6 months into my Thai adventure, lonely despite being surrounded by people, and convinced that finding the right woman would fix what the bar scene couldn't fill. I just needed to look beyond the neon lights and the bar finds. Find someone who wanted something real. That's when I discovered Naklua. And that's when I met Fern. Naklua sits just north of Pattaya proper, far enough from Walking Street that you don't get the drunk tourists stumbling about at 3 in the morning. It's quieter, more local. Thai families live there, not just expats chasing the nightlife. I'd started walking that direction most mornings after the gym, exploring beyond the Farang bubble I'd been living in. That's where I found the coffee shop. Nothing fancy, just a little place tucked between a 7-Eleven and a motorbike repair shop. The sign was in Thai and English, Cafe Sunshine. Original, that. But what caught my attention was that it was full of actual Thai people drinking coffee, not just Farangs looking for air conditioning and Wi-Fi. I walked in on a Wednesday morning, about 7 months into my time in Thailand. The place smelled like coffee and sweetbread, had maybe 6 tables, ceiling fans spinning lazily. A girl behind the counter looked up when I entered, smiled, said Swastika. That was Fern. 28 years old, I'd learn later, but she looked younger. Pretty in a natural way, none of the heavy makeup the bar girls wore. Jeans and a simple t-shirt, hair pulled back. She spoke English with this slight British accent, the kind you get from watching too much BBC. I ordered an Americano. She scrunched her nose a bit and said, Not good in hot weather. You want iced coffee, Thai style. Better. Not pushy, just matter of fact. So I said, grand, I'll try it. She made it right there, this dark coffee mixed with condensed milk and ice. Too sweet for my usual taste, but in that heat, it worked. We chatted a bit while I waited. Where was I from? How long in Thailand? The usual. But when I said Ireland, she didn't do the typical bar girl thing about my family or if I had a wife. Just said she'd always wanted to visit Dublin, loved Irish music. Asked if I knew Thin Lizzy. I had to laugh at that. Yeah, I knew Thin Lizzy. My daw used to play them. The coffee was good. The conversation was better. Normal, you know. No agenda underneath it. I paid, left a decent tip, and walked out thinking that was a nice change from the transactional everything else I'd been experiencing. Started going back 3-4 times a week. Always in the morning after the gym, when the place was quiet. Fern worked the early shift most days. We'd talk while she made my coffee, sometimes for just a minute if she was busy, sometimes for 10 or 15 if it was slow. I learned she was studying business management part-time at a local college. Wanted to open her own cafe someday, something nicer than this place, but still affordable for regular Thai people. Her family had a farm up in Buriram province, way up in Isan, rice and cassava, small operation. She'd come to Pattaya for school and work, sent money home when she could. Standard story, really, but the way she told it wasn't rehearsed. Wasn't looking for sympathy or setting up a sob story. Just facts. What got me was she asked about my work. Really asked, I mean. When I explained I'd been a lineman for 30 years, working high-voltage power lines, she seemed genuinely fascinated. Asked smart questions about how the grid works, about safety protocols, about whether Ireland's system was different from Thailand's. Laughed at my stories about climbing poles in sleet storms. Said Thai electricians wouldn't last a day in Irish weather. No mention of money. No hints about needing help with anything, no talk of sick relatives or broken motorbikes. Just normal conversation between two people drinking coffee. After about 6 weeks of this, I worked up the nerve to ask if she'd like to have dinner sometime. Proper dinner, not just coffee. She hesitated, bit her lip, looked away, said, I don't usually date customer, and I don't really date Farang. I respected that, told her no worries, just thought I'd ask. Didn't push it, didn't make it awkward. Finished my coffee and left like normal. 2 days later, she sent me a message on Facebook, must have looked me up. Said she'd been thinking about it, and if I was serious about just dinner, there was a good Thai restaurant near her apartment, somewhere locals ate, not tourist places. I said absolutely, whenever suited her. We met that Saturday evening. The restaurant was this open-air place off Sukhumvit, plastic chairs and metal tables, menu entirely in Thai. She ordered for both of us. Samtan that was properly spicy, grilled chicken, sticky rice, some kind of fish curry I couldn't have named but tasted incredible. The whole meal cost maybe 300 baht, about €7. The conversation flowed easy. We talked about music. Turned out she loved old Thai country music, which I knew nothing about, but also Oasis, which I did. Said she'd grown up watching British TV shows, learned English that way. I admitted something I'd never told my ex-wives. I'd never paid attention to what music they liked. Never asked. She looked at me funny when I said that, like she was trying to figure out if I was joking. We talked about her studies, about what running a cafe actually involves, about the difference between Pattaya and the quieter parts of Thailand she preferred. I told her about Cork, about the work, about how different everything here was. She asked if I missed Ireland. I said honestly, no, nothing to miss besides the weather being cooler. Didn't kiss her that night, didn't even try. Just walked her back toward her place, said I'd enjoyed the evening, hope we could do it again. She smiled and said yes, she'd like that. The next 2 months, we dated. Actually dated, I mean. Dinners, a movie at Central Festival where we had to read the Thai subtitles because my Thai was still brutal. A day trip out to a waterfall in Chanthaburi province, riding in a Songthaeyu with Thai families on a weekend outing. She introduced me to Thai iced tea, to mooping from street stalls, to parts of Thai culture I'd completely missed living in the expat bubble. She insisted on splitting bills at first. I explained that Irish men are raised to pay, it's just how it is, nothing to do with assuming she couldn't afford it. She accepted that but never asked for anything extra. No hints about needing a new phone or help with rent, just let me pay for dinners and thanked me genuinely. The physical stuff didn't happen until we'd been seeing each other for 2 months. We kissed, obviously, but nothing more. When it finally did happen, it was at her studio apartment in Naklua. Small place, maybe 20 square meters, but clean, and hers. Posters on the wall, textbooks stacked on a desk, clothes hanging neatly on a rack. Evidence of an actual life being lived. The sex felt different, unhurried. Intimate in a way the bar girls never were. Like she actually wanted to be there, wanted to be with me specifically. Afterward, we lay there talking for an hour, her asking about my marriages, me admitting I'd made a right mess of all 3. She didn't judge, just listened. Shared that she'd had a Thai boyfriend for 3 years who cheated on her, said she was wary of relationships now. I remember lying there in her tiny apartment, the ceiling fan spinning above us, sounds of motorbikes and street vendors drifting in through the window, and thinking, this is it. This is what everyone talks about. The good girl who exists if you just look in the right places. Not a bar girl hustling for money, but a real woman with a real life who happens to find me interesting. I told myself this was different from the stories you hear. She had her own job, her own education, her own goals. She wasn't some village girl looking for a foreign wallet. She'd hesitated to date me, for Christ's sake. That proved something, didn't it? Looking back now, I can see what I was really doing. I was so desperate for this to be real, so desperate to believe I'd found someone who'd appreciate me without all the emotional demands my ex-wives had made, that I ignored the obvious question, why would an educated, ambitious 28-year-old Thai woman want to date a 52-year-old Irish electrician with 3 failed marriages and a track record of emotional unavailability? I never asked myself that, never asked her either, just accepted it as finally getting what I deserved after years of bad luck with women back home. The warning signs were there from the start, if I'd wanted to see them. But I didn't want to see them. I wanted to believe in the fantasy. And Fern, to her credit, was very, very good at her job. Month 8, Fern changed her Facebook relationship status to in a relationship and tagged me. I'd never been on Facebook much, but I checked after she told me, and there it was, public, official. Her friends from college started commenting congratulations, heart emojis, the lot. She introduced me to a few of them at a cafe in Pattaya, young Thai women, early 20s mostly, studying business and hospitality at the same college. Nice girls, polite, spoke decent English. I was the only Farang there, sitting at a table full of Thai women half my age, and I felt proud. Like she wasn't hiding me, wasn't ashamed of dating an older foreign man. That's when the money started, though it didn't feel like it at the time. It was all so gradual, so reasonable. We were having dinner at her place one night, maybe 3 weeks after we'd gone Facebook official. She'd made massaman curry, proper homemade stuff that took hours. We were eating on her little balcony, watching the sun go down over Naklua. She mentioned, almost casually, that her college fees were due soon. 35,000 baht. Said it like she was just sharing what was on her mind, not asking for anything. I offered to help. Just came out naturally. Let me cover it, I said. I'm here living on a pension that goes 3 times further than back home. Seems daft for you to stress about it when I've got the money sitting there. She refused at first. Said it was too much, she couldn't accept, but I insisted. Told her I wanted to help, that it made me feel good to be able to support her education. She looked at me with these big eyes, said thank you about 10 times, kissed me. The gratitude felt real. Maybe it was real, I don't know anymore. 35,000 baht. About €850. Didn't feel like much spread against what I had in the bank. I transferred it to her account the next day. She sent me a photo of the receipt from the college, proof she'd actually paid the fees. I appreciated that she'd shown me, though I hadn't asked. A few weeks later, her birthday came up. She hadn't mentioned it, but I'd seen it on Facebook. Asked her what she wanted. She said nothing really, she didn't need anything. But I noticed her phone had a cracked screen, this old Samsung that looked like it had been dropped a dozen times. So I bought her a new one. Nothing fancy, mid-range Samsung, 15,000 baht at Central Festival, about €350. The look on her face when I gave it to her, you'd think I'd bought her a car. She teared up a bit, said no one had ever bought her something so nice. Posted a photo of it on Instagram with a heart emoji and tagged me. Her friends commented how lucky she was, how sweet I was. I'm not going to lie, that felt good. Being the generous boyfriend, the provider, the man who could make her happy with a simple gift. From there, it became routine. Dinners, obviously I always paid, must have spent 3,000 or 4,000 baht a week on meals. Shopping trips to Central Festival on weekends where she'd eye something in a shop window and I'd tell her to try it on, buy it if she liked it. Weekend trips to Koh Samet, Koh Chang, little beach resorts where we'd stay in bungalows that cost 1,500 baht a night. All told, over those first 3 months of being official, I probably spent about 80,000 baht, €2,000, give or take. But it didn't feel alarming because it was spread out. And because this is what boyfriends do, isn't it? You take care of your girlfriend, you buy her things, you pay for experiences together. This wasn't bar girl stuff with negotiated rates and lady drinks. This was a relationship. Normal relationship expenses. Then month 10 hit and everything shifted. We were at my condo, middle of the afternoon. She'd come over after her morning class. I was making coffee when she got a phone call. Spoke in Thai, but I could tell from her voice something was wrong. When she hung up, she was crying. Took me a minute to get it out of her. Her father, heart problem. The village clinic in Bariram couldn't handle it. Needed to go to the proper hospital in the city. They'd already taken him, done some tests. She showed me a photo on her phone of a medical report, all in Thai except for some numbers and the hospital logo. Showed me Google Translate of the diagnosis, cardiac something or other. I couldn't follow the medical terms, but it looked serious. Cost for the medicine and treatment 50,000 baht. She was properly distraught. Said her family had been saving but didn't have anywhere near that much. She'd been sending money home when she could, but she was a student, didn't have those kind of savings. Her mother was panicking. Her father needed to start the medication soon. She kept apologizing for bringing her problems to me, said she'd figure something out, maybe borrow from friends. I didn't even hesitate, told her I'd wire the money that afternoon. She refused, said she couldn't accept, it was too much. We went back and forth for maybe 10 minutes before I just did it. Sat down at my laptop, logged into my bank, transferred 50,000 baht to the account number she gave me, about 1,200 euro. The relief on her face was immediate. She cried again, but different grateful tears this time. Hugged me, told me I'd saved her father's life, said she didn't know how to thank me. I told her not to worry about it. That's what you do for people you care about. That evening, she set up a line video call with her family. First time I'd met them. Mother, father, younger brother who looked about 18, grandmother who didn't speak any English. They were in their village house, basic concrete structure, tin roof, chickens wandering around in the background. Rural Isan, proper countryside. Her father looked genuinely unwell, thin, gray color to his skin, moving slowly. He whined to me through the screen, said "Kop kun crap" about 20 times while Fern translated. Her mother did the same, hands pressed together, bowing slightly even though we were on a video call. The gratitude felt overwhelming. Her brother thanked me too, said I was a good man, that his sister was lucky. I felt like a hero. Like I'd actually done something meaningful for the first time in years. This wasn't paying for bar fines or buying drinks. This was helping a real family with a real crisis. Her father's health, for Christ's sake. You don't turn your back on that. After the call ended, Fern and I lay in bed, and she told me stories about growing up on the farm, about her father teaching her to ride a motorbike when she was 12, about helping with the rice harvest every year, about how hard her parents worked to send her to college. She said I was part of her family now, that her parents had told her to take good care of me because I was a rare kind of farang, generous without expecting anything in return. That phrase stuck with me, generous without expecting anything in return. That's what I wanted to be, wasn't it? Different from the old sex tourists who measured everything in transactions. I was building something real here, something that mattered. Helping her family wasn't a burden, it was an honor. Looking back now, I can see that was the moment the hook fully set. I'd proven I was the provider, the problem solver, the white knight. And she learned exactly what worked with me. Medical emergency, crying, family in crisis, gratitude so overwhelming it felt like love. I'd responded exactly as she knew I would. But in that moment, lying next to her in my condo with the aircon humming and her head on my chest, I felt more content than I had in years, maybe ever. This was what I'd come to Thailand for. Not the bar girls, not the cheap living, but this. A woman who needed me, who valued what I could provide, who didn't demand the emotional vulnerability I'd never been able to give. I told myself I was happy. I told myself this was love. I told myself I'd finally gotten it right, and I ignored the quiet voice in the back of my head asking why I still couldn't tell you her favorite color, or what she wanted to do with her life beyond opening a cafe, or what she was actually thinking when she looked at me. Present, but not present. Same pattern, new country. But I wasn't ready to see that yet, not even close. Month 11, Fern's lease was ending on her studio. Made perfect sense for her to move into my place. She was spending most nights there anyway, and why pay rent on a place she barely used? I helped her pack her things one Saturday, didn't take long. Everything fit in 3 bags and a couple boxes. Clothes, textbooks, a few personal items. That was her whole life, condensed into a motorbike taxi trip. She transformed my condo within a week. Added plants on the balcony, proper curtains instead of the dusty blinds that came with the place. Framed photos of us together on the shelf. Started cooking Thai breakfast most mornings. Joke, rice porridge, or cow tom with bits of pork and ginger. The smell of it would wake me before my alarm. She'd have coffee ready when I got back from the gym, the condo clean, laundry done. It felt like home for the first time since I'd arrived in Thailand. Maybe for the first time in my life, if I'm being honest. My 3 ex-wives had tried to create this exact domestic setup, but I'd never been present enough to appreciate it. Now here I was at 52, finally understanding what they'd been trying to give me all along. 2 weeks after she moved in, Fern quit her job at the cafe. Said she wanted to focus on finishing her degree properly, and also she wanted to take care of me better. I told her she didn't need to quit on my account, but she insisted. Said her wages were barely covering her expenses anyway, and if I was supporting her with rent and food, what was the point of working 20 hours a week for peanuts? Made sense, I suppose. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't like coming home to find her there. No more empty condo with the rattling aircon. Now there was someone cooking, someone who smiled when I walked in, someone who'd ask about my day even though my days were pretty much identical. Gym, coffee, maybe a walk on the beach back home. That's when the monthly expenses started shifting. She explained it to me one evening while we were eating dinner on the balcony. In Thai culture, daughters support their parents, especially once they're in a relationship with someone stable. Her family had been relying on the money she sent home from the cafe, maybe 5 or 6,000 baht a month. Now that she wasn't working, they'd be struggling. Could I help? 15,000 baht a month. About €360. I did the math in my head. My pension was 45,000 baht, monthly rent was 18,000. That left 12,000 for food and living expenses, plus I had my savings. 15,000 to support her family seemed reasonable, especially since I was benefiting from her not working. She cooked, cleaned, did the shopping, made my life easier in a dozen small ways. I set up a monthly transfer. 15th of every month, like clockwork. Her mother sent thank you messages via line, always in Thai with Fern translating. Blessings for me, prayers at the temple, gratitude for taking care of their daughter and helping the family. Then her younger brother's school fees came up, 40,000 baht for the semester. She showed me the invoice, official-looking document from a vocational college in Buriram. He was studying to be an electrician, actually. She made a joke about it, maybe he'd end up like me, working with high voltage. I transferred the money. Felt good to help a kid get an education, especially in a trade I respected. Month 12, the family's water pump broke. 18,000 baht to replace it. She showed me photos of the old pump, rusted through, barely trickling water. They needed it for the farm, for basic living. I sent the money. I started keeping a mental tally, though I tried not to think about it too much. College fees, phone, regular expenses, monthly family support, brother's school, water pump. Probably around 250,000 baht over those months. About €6,000. It felt like a lot when I added it up, but spread over time it had been manageable. And this is what you do when you're part of a family, isn't it? You help out. Then month 14 hit with the roof. We were at my condo one afternoon, rainy season just starting. Fern got a call from her mother, spoke in rapid Thai for 10 minutes, her voice getting more stressed. When she hung up, she was near tears. Showed me photos on her phone, their house roof, tin sheets peeling back, water damage on the ceiling inside, puddles forming in the main room. The roof had been patched before, she explained, but it was old, needed proper replacement. Monsoon season was coming proper, and if they didn't fix it now, the whole house would flood. Everything they owned would be ruined. Her mother was panicking, didn't know what to do. They'd asked around the village for quotes. 120,000 baht. I sat there on my balcony, watching the rain start to fall on Jomtien, and did the math. I had about €90,000 left in my savings, about 3.6 million baht. Sending 120,000 would put a dent in it, but I'd still be comfortable. And this was an emergency, wasn't it? You can't let your girlfriend's family's house get destroyed because of a roof. I wired the money that afternoon. Fern cried, hugged me, said I was saving her family, said her father's health was still fragile and stress like this could kill him. I told her it was fine, not to worry, that's what family does for each other. She showed me the photos of the work getting done over the next week. New tin roof going up, workers on ladders, her father supervising from below. It looked legitimate. Real work happening. I felt good about it, but that's also when the cracks started showing, if I'd been willing to see them. She was always online late at night. I'd wake up at 2, 3 in the morning to use the bathroom, and the screen glow would be lighting up her face. She'd say it was friends from college, group chats about assignments, that sort of thing. I believed her because I wanted to believe her. After sex, she'd immediately check her phone. Not like 5 minutes of lying together, then checking it. I mean immediately. The moment we'd finished, she'd roll over and start scrolling. I'd try to talk, ask her what she was thinking, try to have those intimate post-sex conversations my ex-wives always wanted. She'd give vague answers, smile, change the subject. I tried having deeper conversations about our future. Where did she see this going? Did she want to stay in Pattaya long term? What about after she finished her degree? She'd deflect every time. We have time to think about that. Let's just enjoy now. Why worry about future? Always smiling, always pleasant, never actually answering. Once I came home early from the gym, turned back because I'd forgotten my water bottle, walked in, and she quickly closed her laptop, looked startled, said she'd just been watching YouTube. I didn't think much of it at the time, but it stuck with me. The look on her face, like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't. And here's the thing I'm ashamed to admit, I noticed all of this. Every red flag, every strange moment, every deflection. But I rationalized every single one. The late-night line use? She's young, that's what young people do. They're on their phones constantly. Probably just talking to friends, staying connected. Nothing sinister. The phone checking after sex? Maybe I was being too needy, too demanding of intimacy. My ex-wives always said I was closed off emotionally, and here I was expecting her to lie there and have deep conversations. Maybe this was normal for her generation, different culture, different expectations, the vague answers about our future. She's 28, still figuring out her life. I'm 53. I've got my life sorted. Why pressure her to make long-term plans when we're still getting to know each other? Give her space. Don't smother her like you smothered the others. The laptop incident, you being paranoid, Kieran. This is exactly what you did in your marriage's suspicion without cause, creating problems where none exist. She was probably just watching something she was embarrassed about, or shopping for something she wanted to surprise you with. Stop being an insecure idiot and trust her. That's what I told myself, over and over. You're ruining this. You're self-sabotaging again. This is why your marriage has failed. You couldn't trust, couldn't relax, couldn't just let yourself be happy. She's young, she deserves privacy, she's allowed to have her own life. Stop being controlling. Stop being suspicious. Stop being you. The irony is that my ex-wives left me for the opposite reason, because I was too absent, too checked out, too emotionally unavailable. But I'd convinced myself that this relationship with Fern was different, that I was being different, more present, more involved. And when I felt the old fears creeping in, the old suspicions, I beat them back down because I thought they were the problem. I chose comfort over clarity. I chose the fantasy over the truth, because the truth would have meant admitting I'd made another mistake, that I'd moved halfway across the world and fallen for the exact same trap I'd been warned about, that every skeptical voice in my head had been right. So I pushed it all down, kept sending the money, kept coming home to find her there, kept telling myself I was happy. Month 14, 2 weeks after I'd wired the money for the roof, I was lying in bed next to her, the aircon rattling away, her phone buzzing with line notifications every few minutes. She was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there in the dark, listening to those notifications, and felt this knot in my stomach that I couldn't ignore anymore. Something was wrong. I knew it was wrong. But I was too afraid to look at it directly, because looking at it would mean dealing with it, and dealing with it would mean losing this thing I'd convinced myself was love. So I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow I'd go to the gym. She'd have coffee ready. We'd go about our day like everything was fine. Present, but not present. Even in my own suspicions, I was halfway there. The Facebook message came on a Tuesday afternoon, 2 weeks after I'd sent the money for the roof. I was at a cafe near the beach, drinking coffee and scrolling through my phone. Notification popped up from someone named Declan Murphy. I knew him vaguely from the gym, another Irish bloke, maybe 60, been in Thailand 5 years. We'd nod at each other, maybe exchange a word about the weather or the crowd, but never had a proper conversation. The message was short. Mate, saw your girl at Windmill last night with another Farang. Thought you should know. Maybe she has a twin. Followed by a slightly blurry photo taken from across a bar. Young Thai woman who looked like Fern, sitting close to a white man in his 60s, his arm around her shoulders. The lighting was dim, the angle wasn't great, but the profile looked right. My first response was dismissal. Pattaya is full of young Thai women who look similar. Declan probably saw someone who resembled Fern and jumped to conclusions. I'd been with enough bar girls to know they all started looking the same after a while if you weren't paying attention. Besides, Fern was home last night, wasn't she? I tried to remember. I'd been in bed by 10. She'd said she was meeting college friends for a study group. Came home around 11:30, maybe midnight. Slipped into bed, smelled like cigarettes. I'd asked if they'd been smoking. She said her friend smoked. The smell stuck to her clothes. I typed back to Declan, cheers for looking out, but probably just someone who looks like her. She was with friends last night. His reply came immediately. Fair enough, mate. Just thought you should know. Probably wrong. Take care. I put my phone down. Finished my coffee, told myself it was nothing, but it gnawed at me. All afternoon, all evening, that photo kept coming back. The way the girl sat, the angle of her shoulders, something about the hair, I couldn't shake it. That night, Fern was on her phone more than usual, smiling at the screen, typing quickly. That little laugh she did when something amused her. I asked what was funny. She showed me a meme one of her friends sent, something in Thai I didn't understand. I smiled, went back to watching whatever was on the TV, but I started noticing more. The way she angled her phone away from me when she was scrolling. How she'd sometimes get notifications late at night, the ping of incoming messages, and she'd check them right away, even if we were in the middle of a conversation. The fact that she never left her phone lying around unlocked like I did. 2 days after Declan's message, I was lying awake at 3 in the morning. Insomnia, something I'd been getting more of lately. Fern was next to me, asleep. Or I thought she was asleep. Then her phone lit up on the bedside table. Bank transfer notification. I could see it from where I lay. Someone had sent her money, not a huge amount, but enough to notice. The name wasn't Thai, looked European. Notification disappeared before I could read it properly. She stirred, reached for the phone, checked it. I kept my eyes mostly closed, pretending to be asleep. Watched through my lashes as she read something, typed a quick response, put the phone back down. Took maybe 30 seconds. Then she rolled over and went back to sleep like nothing had happened. I lay there for another 2 hours, staring at the ceiling, listening to the aircon rattle and the occasional motorbike pass on the street below. 3 days later, the opportunity came. I was home. Fern was in the shower. She'd been in there maybe 10 minutes. I could hear the water running. Her laptop was on the coffee table, open. She'd been using it before her shower, left it there. Screen was still lit up, unlocked. I knew I shouldn't look, knew it was a violation of trust, the kind of thing that poisons relationships even if you don't find anything. But I couldn't help myself. That message from Declan, the late-night notifications, the bank transfer, all of it had been building. I sat down in front of the laptop, browser tabs open across the top, ThaiCupid.ThaiFriendly, Asian dating, all logged in, all showing her profile. Same photos I recognized from her Instagram, from photos we'd taken together. Bio describing herself as single, looking for a generous foreign boyfriend for serious relationship. My hand started shaking. Line app was open. Conversations in Thai with multiple people. I opened Google Translate on my phone, started copying text over, messages with someone named Mike, discussing monthly allowance, when he'd send the next transfer, whether she could meet him this weekend. She said maybe, she had to check with her other commitment. He sent a laughing emoji, said he understood, just let him know. Messages with someone named Johan, asking if she still needed money for her family's water pump. She said yes, very urgent. He said he'd send 20,000 baht next week. She sent heart emojis, thanked him repeatedly. Messages with someone named Robert, more flirtatious, photos I didn't want to see. Him asking when she could come to Bangkok to visit. Her saying she'd check her schedule, had to be careful because Irish boyfriend gets suspicious. That phrase stopped me cold. Irish boyfriend, that was me. I was the one she had to be careful around. Kept scrolling. Found screenshots she'd saved. Bank transfer receipts from different names, different amounts. Some dated from before she'd even moved in with me. Evidence of a system, a rotation. Then I found the conversation with a friend. Thai name I didn't recognize. Recent messages from yesterday. Friend, you still seeing the Irish guy? Fern, yeah, he's boring and not handsome, but he sends money every month without questions. Very easy. I keep him. Friend, smart. How many you have now? Fern, 4 regular. Irish one pays most. German guy pays good too, but he asks too many questions. American is cheap, but easy to manage. Swedish one is new, still testing. Friend, you should get rid of cheap one, get another good one. Fern, maybe. But American is good for small things. He buys me clothes, takes me to nice restaurants. Not everything is about big money. The shower turned off. I photographed everything on my phone, hands shaking so badly I had to take some shots twice to get them clear. Closed all the tabs, tried to make the screen look like it had before. Moved to the balcony, phone clutched in my hand, trying to process what I'd just seen. She emerged a few minutes later in my t-shirt, hair wet, towel around her shoulders. Smiled when she saw me. What you want for dinner? I can make pad krapao or we can order something. I looked at her and couldn't speak. This woman I'd been living with for 3 months, who I'd sent money to, whose family I'd helped, who slept in my bed every night. I didn't know her at all, never had. I'm not hungry, I managed. Think I'll go for a walk. She looked concerned. You okay? You look pale. Fine, just need some air. Grabbed my wallet and left before she could ask more questions. Walked John Tien Beach for 3 hours. Barely noticed where I was going. The sun set, the beach emptied out. Just me and the sound of waves and my thoughts running in circles. Every sweet moment replayed through a new lens. Every smile, every thank you, every expression of gratitude, every intimate conversation. All performance. The coffee shop where we met, had she been targeting men there? The hesitation before agreeing to date me technique to make it seem genuine? The 2 months before sex building trust, making me invest emotionally before she started asking for money? The family video calls. Were they even her family, or actors she'd paid to play parts? The sick father, the grateful mother, the brother studying to be an electrician, all of it potentially staged. The roof. Had 4 different foreign men each paid for a quarter of that roof? Or had there been no roof at all? Every request, every emergency, every tearful moment calculated, she'd read me perfectly. Spotted exactly what my ex-wives had spotted. A man desperate to be the provider because it was easier than being emotionally present. A man who'd pay any amount of money to avoid the hard work of actual intimacy. She played me like a fiddle. And I'd let her because I'd wanted so badly to believe. I sat on the beach wall near Dongtan, watching the lights from the bars reflect on the water. Thought about my 3 ex-wives. About how they'd each, in their own way, tried to tell me I was present, but not present. How I'd never listened. How I'd come to Thailand thinking the problem was them, that Asian women would appreciate a simple provider. Turns out they did appreciate a provider. Just not in the way I'd imagined. The worst part, one couldn't even be properly angry at Fern. She'd been honest in her own way. She cooked, cleaned, had sex with me, made my condo feel like a home. She'd delivered the service. I'd just mistaken it for love because I'd wanted to. I walked back to the condo around midnight. She was in bed, asleep, or pretending to be. Her phone was charging on the nightstand, face down. I lay next to her, didn't sleep at all. Just listened to the line notifications coming in all night. Ping, 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 ping. Her other life continuing while I lay there like an Egypt. Around 4 in the morning, I accepted what I'd have to do in a few hours. Show her the evidence, watch whatever happened next. Start dealing with the reality I'd been avoiding for months. But for now, I just lay there in the dark, next to someone I'd never actually known, listening to her phone buzz with messages from men whose money she was also taking, whose hearts she was also playing with, whose loneliness she was also exploiting. Present, but not present. Even now, even in this moment of truth, I was halfway there. Too afraid to wake her up and confront it, too broken to keep pretending I didn't know. The aircon rattled. The phone pinged. The city hummed outside. And I waited for morning. Morning came with that brutal Pattaya sunlight, the kind that makes everything look harsh and exposed. I'd been awake the whole night. Fern stirred around 7, reached for her phone like she always did, checked her messages. I watched her do it, this routine I'd seen 100 times but never really seen. She noticed I was awake, smiled. "You wake up early today. You want coffee?" I sat up. My phone was in my hand, all those screenshots ready. "We need to talk." Something in my voice made her stop. She put her phone down, looked at me properly. "What's wrong?" I opened my photo gallery, turned the phone toward her. "I saw your laptop yesterday while you were in the shower." She looked at the screen. Didn't react much, just a small exhale, no shock, no panic, just a kind of weariness. I scrolled through the screenshots, the dating profiles, the line conversations, the messages with her friend about the 4 regular guys, about me being boring and not handsome but sending money without questions. She watched me scroll, still no big reaction. When I finished, she just said, "Okay, that's it." Okay, I waited for more. Denials, tears, explanations, something. She just sat there on the edge of the bed in my t-shirt, looking at me like I was being unreasonable. "That's all you've got to say?" I asked. "Okay." She shrugged. "You want Thai girlfriend who stay home, take care of you, no work. This costs money. You know this." The calm in her voice was worse than anger would have been, like this was obvious, like I was the idiot for not understanding how it worked. "Was any of it real?" I asked. "Anything?" She thought about it for a second. "I cook for you, clean, have sex. This is real. I do this, but you think I do because I love you?" She actually laughed a bit. "You old, not handsome, not interesting. Of course it's about money." There it was, the brutal honesty I'd been avoiding for 14 months. She wasn't even being cruel, just stating facts as she saw them. "Your father's heart medicine?" I asked. "The roof?" "Father is sick, yes. Medicine maybe not cost 50,000. But he is sick. Roof need fix, yes. But maybe other man pays some too. This is normal. You think you only one?" I should have been angry, devastated, something. But mostly, I just felt tired. "I want you to leave." She nodded. No argument, no begging, no tears. Just stood up and started packing. It took maybe 2 hours. She moved through the condo efficiently, gathering her things. The clothes I'd bought, the phone, her laptop, the plants she'd added stayed. The photos of us came down. Before she left, she turned at the door. "You not bad, man. But you want girlfriend-like service. I give you service. You just don't want to pay for service. You want to call it love. This is your problem, not my problem." And she was gone. I spent the next 3 weeks barely leaving the condo. Ordered food delivery, didn't answer messages from the gym asking where I was. Just sat there, in the space she'd transformed, surrounded by evidence of the life we'd built that had never actually existed. Did the math properly. €18,000 over 14 months. About 440,000 baht. Not financially devastating. I still had €72,000 in savings. But emotionally, crushing doesn't cover it. I replayed every moment. Every red flag I'd ignored. The late-night phone use, right there in front of me. The closed laptop, the distant looks after sex, the vague answers about our future. All of it so obvious now. But the deeper realization came slow, in those quiet hours sitting on the balcony watching Jomtien Beach. Fern had spotted exactly what my 3 ex-wives had spotted. A man who thought providing was the same as loving. who confused showing up with being present, who hid behind the role of generous provider because it was easier than the terrifying work of actual intimacy. I didn't know her favorite food beyond what she cooked for me. Couldn't name a dream or fear beyond the rehearsed stories about opening a cafe. Never asked about her childhood, her real friends, what she actually wanted from life. I'd been so focused on being the white knight, the rescuer, the provider, that I'd never actually seen her as a full human being. Same pattern as my marriages. I thought I was doing everything right because I was there physically, paying bills, being reliable. But I still didn't understand that love requires presence, not just provision. That intimacy requires vulnerability. That being known requires allowing yourself to be seen. Fern was exploitative, absolutely. But she'd read me perfectly because I'd made myself so readable. Every emotionally unavailable gesture, every deflection from deeper conversation, every retreat into the provider role, she'd recognized the pattern and used it. I'd been easy. Week 4, I started leaving the condo, just walking at first. Then I found a therapist in Dublin who did Zoom sessions. Irish woman, maybe 50, named Sarah. First session, she asked me to describe Fern's personality beyond what she looked like and what she did for me. I couldn't. Sat there for 5 minutes trying, came up with nothing real. She asked about my ex-wives. Same question, same inability. "See, Iran," she said. "You've spent 30 years comfortable with deadly voltage and terrified of being known. That's what we need to work on." The work began there. Twice a week on Zoom, pulling apart 30 years of patterns. Learning that being present means more than occupying space. That generosity without vulnerability is just a transaction. That you can't buy your way out of the hard work of showing up emotionally. Month 16. I joined an expat cycling group. Actually made friends, real ones, not just gym acquaintances. Told them my story over beers one night. Expected judgment. Got understanding instead. Turned out half of them had similar stories, different details, but same core mistake. Started dating again, casually. Different now, though. I catch myself when I slip into provider mode without actually being present. Call myself out when I realize I've been seeing someone for weeks and can't tell you what makes them laugh or what they're afraid of. Sent an email to my second ex-wife. Didn't expect forgiveness. Just wanted to say I finally understood what she'd been trying to tell me for 5 years. She replied within a day. Said she appreciated it. Had moved on years ago. Hoped I'd figured myself out. Wished me well. I'm still in Thailand. Still in the same condo, though I've changed it around, made it mine rather than ours. Still go to the gym. Still drink coffee in Naklua, though not at that cafe. Different one. Run by an older Thai woman who doesn't speak much English and doesn't seem interested in Farangs beyond their money for coffee. Date, occasionally, stay clear-eyed. Aware of my patterns. It's harder work than I thought it would be, this business of actually being present. But it's the work I should have done 30 years ago. So let me tell you what I learned. Let me tell you why Thai women, good women, women worth knowing, might avoid you. And here's the thing. It's not about them. It's about you. 3 shocking reasons, yeah? Here they are. 1. You don't see her. You see a fantasy. A young Asian woman who'll appreciate you in ways Western women don't, who'll be traditional and grateful and not demanding. But she's a real person with her own agenda, her own needs, her own complexity. When you can't see that, when you're just projecting your fantasy onto whoever's in front of you, you're not building a relationship. You're paying for a performance while calling it love. 2. You think money replaces intimacy. You believe that providing, paying bills, fixing roofs, sending monthly allowances is the same as being emotionally present. It's not. Generosity without vulnerability is just a transaction. Every woman I've ever been with, Thai or Irish, spotted that I was hiding behind the provider role because I was terrified of actually being known. 3. You haven't done the work on yourself. You're exporting your broken patterns to a new country with better weather, hoping geography will fix what's broken inside. It won't. I spent 30 years at the top of high-voltage poles, comfortable with deadly electricity, and couldn't handle the simple human risk of being seen, of being vulnerable, of being present even when I was standing right there. That's what drives good women away. Not your age, not your wallet, not your passport. Your absence even when you're physically there. Fix that first. Then maybe geography works in your favor. That's my story. That's what Thailand taught me. Not the lesson I came here for, but the one I needed. Kairan is still in Thailand, still working on himself. His story isn't unique. This channel has featured dozens of men who discovered that running from your problems doesn't solve them, it just gives those problems a better climate. But Kieran's self-awareness, hard-won and painful as it was, offers something valuable to anyone watching this. If you're thinking about moving to Thailand to find love or start fresh, ask yourself one honest question. Are you running towards something or away from something? Have you done the work to understand why your past relationships failed? Or are you just blaming the women, blaming the culture, and hoping Thai women will be different? Because they're not different. They're human beings with needs and agency, and the ability to spot emotional unavailability from a kilometer away. The 3 shocking reasons Thai women might avoid you aren't about Thailand, they're about you. Siaran had to lose €18,000 in 14 months of his life to learn what his 3 ex-wives had been trying to tell him for decades. You don't have to make that same mistake. Do the work first. Be honest with yourself about what you're actually offering in a relationship. Fix what's broken before you try to build something new. This is Thailand, where paradise comes with lessons attached, and the tuition is paid in humility and self-awareness. Thanks for watching.